Earlier on in the year, I rode a 26-inch bike, a downhill bike. It's a little bit old, but I absolutely loved it. And it got me thinking about how I could build my very own budget downhill bike build, because I think this can still be the ultimate bike park bike. So today, I'm going to use parts I've begged, borrowed, haven't stolen any, but trying to build a really cheap downhill bike. Right, so the parts, I've actually bought this nuke-proof scalp downhill bike off Facebook Marketplace. This cost me £90 without the shock, but it was super cheap. It's in really good condition. It's an old aluminium frame. I know these are really good angles back in the day as well, so I think this is going to be a great bike. So what I wanted to do today is basically to use some of my old parts. I have bought some bits. Really, the only new parts I have bought are tyres, and I have got some brand new wheels. I've actually blagged those off one of our channel sponsors. But kind of the idea of this is basically, you know, not everyone needs a downhill bike. If you're racing downhill, then they're great. They're the fastest things out there. But if maybe you've got a trail bike and a few times a year you want to go to a bike park, or you go to Whistler or the Alps or whatever, then it's really hard to beat a downhill bike for doing those sorts of things. Just the extra travel, the angles, they're so good. But it's like a crazy expense just to have a bike that you ride a few times a year. For me, particularly, I don't really ride downhill bikes very much. So that got me thinking about doing this completely on the cheap. And the build today is going to sort of back that up. I've got 26-inch wheels, so that's what this bike is. I'm going for single speed because this is going to be really a jump bike. I love that bike. When I came to throw it around in the air, that retro bike that I rode at Donoghue Bike Park, it was the best thing. It was even better than riding, you know, the latest, greatest downhill bikes, because in the air, the 26 wheels are just so good. So single speed as well. I'm not going to use it for racing. I don't need those gears. I'm not going to risk smashing off mechs. So this could be a great idea if you're just trying to get a bike park shredding bike yourself. Do it on the cheap. All I need is 2 brakes, single speed. So let's get to it. I'm gonna sort of talk you through the bits that I've got, what I've done to them, because I've actually got a 26-inch RockShox Boxer that I took off that cheap bike. I've had it refurbed, I've had it serviced, so that, you know, there's some expense involved with some of these parts, but like I say, I'm trying to do this as cheap as I possibly can. So this is the old RockShox Boxer that came off that Da Vinci bike that I rode earlier in the year. And I've had this serviced by Full Factory Suspension, and Finn, the guy there, said this is probably the worst set of forks he's ever seen. So inside was full of muddy water. So you can see they're a bit scrappy, but the stanchions are perfect. It's got new seals, been serviced internally, so actually they feel really good. You know, it cost me £100 to get them serviced, but they are feeling fresh. So let's start building the bike. So these brakes, I've had knocking around for probably about 5 years now. They've been on a few different bikes. So they kind of haven't cost me anything because they're old brakes. So I do like to do that, just keep hold of stuff. You know, not everyone has the same sort of look on things. I guess some people want to sell stuff when they're not using it to get a bit more money back. But These are kind of old, they're still really good brakes, but they've been used quite heavily. So for me, these really haven't cost anything, but hopefully by the end of this video, I'll give you a bit of an idea of how much this bike could cost if you're gonna try and build it yourself. Matching colours. That's gonna look pretty good, I think. So I've gone for single speed setter kit for this bike because I think it's going to be really good. Just the sort of neatness of just having 2 brakes on this bike and nothing else. I think I'm going to want this bike to just throw around on jumps. It's going to be so much fun. And you really don't need more gears than that. It'd be nice to just get used to pedaling 1 cadence as well, but it's not going to work for everybody. I guess if your bike part's got some pedaling or you need to like transfer around a bit, then it's not great, but I love the idea of it. I've actually borrowed this single speed conversion kit off Blake. So this is a reverse components tensioner, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. I've got a 13 tooth sprocket. So you're going to need a tensioner on a full suspension bike because the chain tension will move around. If it was your hardtail, you don't need to, but I will have to stick that on. But it's super small, super neat, so it'll look cool anyway. But I think it's time to dig out the wheels and start building them. Really helpfully for me, not so helpfully for you, so I can't tell you about trying to do something cheap. I have actually got some brand new wheels because fortunately one of our partners, Spank, still make 26-inch wheels for jump bikes and all sorts. So these are a brand new set of the Spank Race 33s. Look how small they look tiny to me. But alloy rims, exactly what I want for this bike. Small wheels gonna be so good for throwing around in the air. Well, I know that I've done it already, but yeah, some brand new wheels for this bike, so stoked on that one. Amazing. The grease, a lovely colour that is. So there it is, finished, built. This is my 2014 nuke-proof scalp frame. I actually can't believe how cheap I was able to do this. I know I've kind of, you know, I've got some stuff lying around that I've put on this, but like I said, the frame cost £90, found that on eBay. The shock was 120 quid, that came off Facebook Marketplace. What else? Tyres, about 100 quid for the pair. That's actually not as cheap as I kind of would have hoped for some 26-inch downhill tyres. Cranks, 200 quid. They were brand new Shimano Saints, but obviously super up to job, super strong. Single speed kit would be about 80 quid. Got brand new spank wheels. These are worth about £500, but you could definitely save money today. Get on eBay some alloy 26-inch downhill bike wheels. I bet you could get some of those for a bargain price. Obviously with alloy rims, I think they'll bend a bit, but normally, you know, you're running discs. They don't need to be perfect. Like I said, I reckon you find them super cheap. I've got old bars. The stem, actually I swapped to find that direct mount stem that came with the Boxer. The Boxer came off that Da Vinci bike that cost £500. So, you know, I reckon I could sell the rest of that bike for probably 400 quid. So that fork's probably cost about £100. Yes, I've spent £100 on the servicing, the fork and the shock, but they feel brand new. It feels amazing, like the geometry of the bike, like it's not that old, 2014. I think it's like a 62.5, 63 degree head angle, so nice and slack. Suspension feels like fantastic considering how old it is. Like it's been serviced, feels new, brakes feel great. The bike on the drop test, just brilliant. Like single speed, it's completely silent. I think this bike is gonna rip and I can't wait to ride it. And I definitely encourage you, if you don't want to go out and buy a downhill bike that you're not going to use very much, this could be the way to do it. And I think you could easily get a bike like this for under £800. If you're careful, find the parts. Definitely, I would say go for like a not too old, but an alloy frame that isn't too old. The geometry will be pretty good. You could always size up if you want a slightly bigger bike. I think you could do it for well under 800 quid. I reckon you could do it for probably £500, but let us know if you're inspired. I definitely am. I can't wait to ride this thing, and leave me some comments down below. What do you think? I think it looks amazing.